All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. A man who hasn't done a podcast since Falco had a hit on the radio.
Oh, yeah. Rock me on.
Please welcome my guest today,
Falco.
Pablo Francisco.
He sings that one song, don't turn around or whatever. I came too fast. Oh. Okay, don't forget
I thought it was Rock Me Amadeus.
Oh, Rock Me Amadeus. I used to make fun of that song. Go, oh my crazy friends. And I would always say, I came too fast. Oh. Stupid stuff. But, Falco, I was 83. Oh, my friends. But, all right, so how you been?
I'm good. I have so many things to talk to you about.
Right on, man. Right on.
I'm excited because I do this thing because I want to, I want to do something in my spare time that just, I don't know, that can give something back. And like you're somebody who I have always revered and watched from afar. I've always been in the back of those rooms.
Right, you've been great, man. You've been great to me. You've been very cool, man. Always good compliments. And you always hanging out with some great comics, man. Frank Caliendo. You always had a good route. So I was going, this guy got all the good guys, right? But
I didn't get you.
Well, yeah, I was hanging out with Hartman.
I failed.
Oh no, hey. Like I'm saying, when I see you, you got that fan, didn't you? No.
No, I didn't. I didn't represent that.
Yeah, Last Comic Standing. Yeah, that's where you just walk right up to me, Pablo. You're super talented. I was going, this guy's super cool. All right, thank you. And then, yeah, man, you rocked it. You're a good manager, bro. And all this advice you guys are gonna hear, or whatever, take it in because this is a very generous thing for you to do.
Well, I think the first thing I want to talk about is which is a hard thing to talk about, but there was this movie, I think it was called Sliding Doors.
Right.
And they showed all different versions of how something could go.
Oh, wow.
And so I think there were 4 different ways that something could go faithfully in this movie.
Right.
When you first started and you had dreams and visions and thoughts about how things were going to happen for you.
Right.
Tell me what happened for you that you had a vision was going to happen and it did happen. You fulfilled the prophecy. And tell me things that happen that you're like, fuck, I wish that the other sliding door I wish I had taken a different path here, or I wish I'd have made a different decision here, or I wish that I hadn't told that person this, or I wish I had accepted that gig, or didn't accept this gig, or I wish I hadn't hung out with this group of people.
Right.
So take me through the things that happened in your career that you knew in your heart, even when you first started and were starting to do well, that you knew were going to happen.
I was watching. I would stay up and watch all the Lettermans and all the comics, and I record them on a VCR. The VCR that had all the colors, the red.
The
stuff.
$400 clock in your living room.
Right. So yeah, the $400 clock.
2-hour speed, 4-hour speed, and 6-hour speed.
Yeah, and a remote control with a long cord to it. My dad would work, so I would stay up in high school and even elementary, and I just started to like comics a lot, and I was noticing that.
Who were the comics that you liked?
Okay, it was Louis Anderson. I liked him.
Oh, I represented Louis for like a
sweet.
I
just
love
so
him.
Funny specials.
What about the first Tonight Show we had where he just had those 4 jokes in a row about
the headlock? Was it the headlock?
No, it was the one where he says. Crowds applauding, and he says, listen, please settle down, I'm in between meals.
Yeah, I would watch him a lot because my friend had HBO, so he would record on the VHS tape and give it to me. So I was always watching comics.
So Louis was one, what else?
Okay, then it was Benny Hill.
Benny Hill, for those of you who don't know, Benny Hill was like...
English.
It just was all, he was an English guy, it was silent, it was like Mr. Bean.
Yes, but with a super edge. I mean, because he's universal. He doesn't have to say anything. He'd
get canceled today. It was all about women and short skirts.
And he did. Yeah, he did. I mean, I would laugh my ass off watching that.
So you got Louis who talked slower, and methodically. You got Benny Hill. It was quicker, but no speaking.
Right.
Who was the third one you
Third
used to watch?
one, man, I was just, Bugs Bunny, man. I would just watch Bugs Bunny. And,
Bugs Bunny.
And just such creative Warner Brothers, just the way how sarcastic he was. And when I really look back at it, I go, man, I just love watching. It was just, I couldn't believe how incredibly, those things were done back in the 40s. And it was amazing how.
Tell me a Bugs Bunny line that you remember that sort of translates into the stand-up world.
He's playing a rabbit in Little Red Riding Hood, and there's a dumb Little Red Riding Hood, and there's this wolf there, and he's just making fun of this wolf the whole time. And when he's just how the way he would go after this wolf, hey you, what now? I just like watching him laugh. It was so cruel to these. How he just go after, they change up the Little Red Riding Hood story. And I just watch that all the time, how funny it is.
You just reminded me of something. Don't lose your place.
Right.
I remember watching The Three Stooges.
Right.
And my mother used to come into the room
Right.
and to see if I was laughing.
Right.
I would never laugh. They'd do the physical comedy, they'd bang themselves over the head, whatever.
Right.
I didn't realize I wasn't laughing, but she was watching me thinking, like, is there something wrong with this guy?
Wow. Right.
And then one day, she heard me laugh, like, just uncontrollably loud. And she runs in, she says, well, you never laugh at The Three Stooges. What happened? Did Larry get hit in the head with a frying pan? Did Curly bang into the wall? Did Shemp do the thing on the floor?
Yep.
And I said, no. What happened was Larry said to Mo, let me think. And Mo looked at Larry and said, every time you think, you weaken the nation. And,
wow.
And that made me laugh because it was like a real line.
Right.
It was a real joke.
Oh, wow. That's funny. And I'd watch the Three Stooges, but I just like when he would just get on his side and spin around.
That was Shemp, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe they were just like normal guys, but they were just when they work out the boom boom, their sound effect stuff. That was funny, but I was basically just a Benny Hill fan, just watching him, and then.
Okay, so you're watching this stuff,
right?
And do you say to yourself in the privacy of your own room, with the posters on the wall, like, I am going to do what?
Okay, I was going to be a movie director.
You're going to be a director?
Yes, so I was making martial art films and selling martial art equipment.
In high school? In
high school, and you buy 2 Moonstars and I sharpen them for you. And
you did the camera angle so it looked like you were punching and kicking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was really, and then, my dad worked at Kidd Peak National Observatory. So I say, can I throw this dummy off one of the telescopes there? And he goes, yeah, bring it on over. So I went down there, I was filming that.
Where was that?
Kidd Peak National Observatory up in Tucson, Arizona.
Got it.
And my dad worked for the University of Arizona, so I would go there. And then I just auditioned for this, for summer, it was a big cattle call, and I auditioned for it, and at the age of 13, I was in this acting group, right? And we just talked about drugs, and it was different, everyone had different, it was at the Linda Ronstadt Studios at the University of Arizona. So I was up at 6 every morning and just take training classes all the way through the whole summer. And
now, acting, voice training, everything?
No, it was just acting and exercises. These guys were really, really good, but I was getting paid. Look, I was making $600 a week at 13 years old. So I bought my Mongoose bike, and then I said, I want to start doing stand-up because there was a stand-up club in Tucson. It was a small one, but when I started seeing Saturday Night Live change casts, that's when I was going, okay, you know what? They do change casts. Eddie Murphy's on there, and then Joe Piscopo. Just loved watching those guys. And then
do you know who was cast in 1980 before Eddie Murphy got hired?
Oh, yeah, there was which one called Anna Risley was there.
Charlie Barnett. Remember Charlie Barnett?
Yeah, vaguely.
The greatest street performer of all time in Washington Square Park. He got cast.
Oh, wow.
And then he couldn't read the cue cards, so they let him go, they hired Eddie Murphy.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I was. Some woman came to my community college and we started talking, and it was Anna Risley. She was a cast member, and I took acting classes from her. She was really good, and it was me and her and 2 other people, and it was personal. It was good. So, as I watched the cast, I go, okay, how do I get to Los Angeles, and how do I do that kind of thing?
All right. So you have confidence,
Yeah.
and you know you're capable of eventually booking one of these jobs. You have that much confidence in high school to know that if I get to Los Angeles,
Right.
I'm going to get something. You knew in your heart.
It was finances as well, because I saved my money to go take a semester at USIU. It's in San Diego for film, and that's when my dad goes, "Hey, I can't afford it. You have to come home." And I go, "All right." And the Comedy Store had an open mic, and I was practicing my act. I had already had 6 minutes.
This is the 3-minute open mic or the 6-minute one back
It
then?
was a 3-minute, a 2-minute one, and I got on at 2:30. This was in San Diego.
Oh, this was in La Jolla.
In La Jolla, and that right there, when I went up, they automatically came up to me and said, "Hey, we want you to come in tomorrow." And I went, "All right, I'll get a ride here." And it was packed. They put me on a regular night, and then I met a guy named Dante. He was there. They were really nice, and so I got addicted to it.
So you'd only gone on stage how many times before La Jolla?
Okay. So I was my first time at La Jolla, first time performing there.
How many times had you been on stage
I've been on stage
as a stand-up?
as a stand-up, doing 10 minutes at amateur nights in Tucson, open mics, about maybe 5 times.
So you've only gone on 5 times.
Right.
And when you do your 3 minutes at La Jolla, what do you do that gets them so crazy?
I go, Casey Kasem always talks, over the songs before he says it. I'm Casey Kasem. And now, before you hear the song, I'm going to keep on talking and won't shut the fuck up, right? And when I did that, Freddie Burns came up to me and he goes, "You need to go to audition for, go and talk to Mitzi." So I drove my 280ZX over there, and I walked right in. With a friend of mine. He was a gang member up in Tucson. And his name was Ronnie Watts. And we walked right in. And as soon as I walked in, they said my name. And I went up there. I did 4 minutes.
Wait, who set you up there? Did La Jolla got you a spot?
Fred Burns.
So you just walk right in.
Well,
and they call your name.
my friend, you got to park the car. We walked right in there. I did my show, and then as soon as I walked off, that Mitzi's hand came out, and she goes, "I want to sign you. I want to put you in Polly's movies." And I was going, "Well, I haven't even moved in." She was, "Well, it's that one big mistake. They ask you if you live in Los Angeles,
And you lied.
And you say, "Oh yeah." So I go, "Yeah, I'm moving in right next week."
And that's what she did. She sat. For those of you who don't know, it's everybody has their thing.
Right.
And the Comedy Store has 3 rooms. For those of you who don't know, they have the belly room, which used to be a storage room that Louis Anderson actually cleaned out to make it the belly room. He was one of the guys who was Mitzi asked to clean it out. There's the original room, or the OR, which the belly room holds about 80 to 100 if it's packed. That's where Chappelle did one of his specials, and it's probably one of his favorite rooms. And the original room holds about probably 150 to 200 packed.
Right.
And that's right at the front on the street level. And then there's the main room, which holds about 400, which Richard Pryor and many specials have been done there. Right. And so the original room, the way it's structured, there's 2 entrances. There's the one for the customers that comes from the bar on the street.
Right.
And then once you're inside the back as a comedian, you walk up through the hallway that connects the belly room and the original room and the main room, and you walk up this probably 3 stairs, and then you're at the level of everybody in the comedy club, and you're facing center the comedian on stage, but you can't walk through because there's audience there. You have to walk around to go on. But when you come back around, you have to go down that little hallway, little part before you walk down the stairs. And Mitzi used to sit right by the wall, right next to that, so she could reach out and grab you if she wanted to and she was interested in you.
Yeah.
And so you'd only been on stage 5 times.
Yeah.
You do 3 minutes for her, and she says, "I want to put you in Polly's movies, and I want you're regular at the Comedy Store."
Yeah, I was, and it was
What was your closing bit?
My closing bit was I would do different music for like different races, right? So I go, here's a black guy. I do that, and then I would go, and then white guys, when they fight here, I grab my balls and go, "Here's a story, Manning Brady." It got big laughs back then, and I ended on Mexican girlfriend, hold my baby kind of thing, and it was just, I was always thinking, thought out, but was fun about it is that when I went back there, I opened up a curtain, and there's George Carlin right there doing his bit. I just want to take a look around. Had no idea. He's up there. Hey, why you call it a can? And I was going, hey, that's George Carlin. And then I turned around, and there's Andrew Dice Clay. And they're just sitting there. I was going, well, this is incredible. And then my friend goes, man, you did good. And we went back, and then...
So, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think this is really important. So, you're how old?
21.
You're 21.
Yeah. So I had...
So you're 21, you've been on stage 5 or 10 times,
Yeah,
and now you're a regular at the Comedy Store. You have no representation.
Right, yeah, it was...
And so how'd you get your first representation? Did they find you? Did they chase you like your ass was on fire? What happened?
Okay, this is what happened. This is a crazy story. I went back to Tucson, and
So you didn't stay in L.A.?
Well, no, I had to go back and work at Domino's Pizza to save money to come back, right?
Why didn't you get a job at Domino's?
You know, to tell you the truth, I was back then. I was so I was taking this class on film too, so I wanted to stick with that class. I met David Becky, this guy. When I wanted to get with him, but he goes, "Hey, listen, man," he goes, "My plate's full, and cut your ponytail off." And what was crazy about it is that I worked hard because I had to grab my dad's VCRs and stack them and make copies. And I came home, they went to Chile, and my brother goes, "Hey man, mom and dad are home, dude. You've been partying at the house." And I got there, and my mom is, and I racked up with 19 grand on this credit card, right? I get there, and she's crying, going, "Did you get somebody pregnant?" And I go, "Where's Dad?" He's sleeping, he's getting ready for work. And my dad comes right up behind me and he kicks me in the ass. He goes, "You need to get a life, all right?" And he didn't know that I just got fired from Domino's. So I'm broke, sitting at 11 o'clock at night, and the phone rings. And I go, my dad goes, "Who in the hell is calling at 11 o'clock? And I pick it up, and it's the Improv. And they go, "Hey, is this too late? We got your tape. We're wondering if you want to sign with us." And I go, "Well, yeah." And they go, "Can you come to Phoenix right now? We'll put you up." And it was like a dream. And I told my dad kicked me right in my ass. And I go, "Mom, that's the Improv. They just called." And she thought it was lying. And so,
now they'll put you up and have you headline?
Oh no, headline, co-headline on Wednesdays, and put me up.
Who had to follow you on the weekend?
Oh, yeah, it was so funny because my brother goes, "Hey man, Dad, you're dealing drugs." I go, "I'm not dealing drugs, man." So my dad had somebody drive all the way down to Phoenix to see if I was headlining. And as soon as he gets there, the Improv goes, "Hey man, we have GE coming in, so we're going to take your name off the thing." And I go, "What? My dad's going to come?" So my dad didn't believe me because they took off. Then the next day they put my name up there, and my brother came down. He saw it. He goes, "Okay, all right." So from that point on, it started just rolling.
How do you headline? You have 10 minutes.
You know what? I had 25 minutes, and then.
How do you have 25 minutes?
I had 25 minutes, but they would Todd Glass. He caught on to it.
Todd Glass. He was the headliner.
Yeah. He was the headliner, and I'll go before him, and he was yelling at Robert Hartman, and he was yelling so hard his scars on the side of his face were lit up. He goes, "You, Pablo, you only got 30, 25. Don't be co-headlining us." And I go, and Robert Hartman goes, "Don't listen to him, Pablo. Don't listen. Listen, Pablo." So I got to about. Mark Anderson was there, and it was...
Mark Anderson owned the Improv there, and this is the Tempe Improv, and this is Robert Hartman owned that with him.
Yes.
And he was starting to manage that.
And I walked right up to my dad.
Now, he had one client at the time, right?
Yeah. I walked up and I go, "What does it take for me to work for you?" And he looked at me and goes, I do food and beverage here. And I went, "Yeah," but he goes, "Give me 3 minutes." And I did. So I worked on my 3 minutes, showcase for him, and I did really good. The only problem is that Mark Anderson goes, "Hey, listen, call me on Monday." I was going, "All right, man, I got this," right? And he calls me up and he goes, and I was all excited, and I go, "Hello," and he goes, "Pablo, Mark Anderson, you have a great set last night in Tempe, but listen, you know what, that your material is not what we want here at the Improv." And I go, he goes, "So call me in about 3 years." And I went, wait, hold. I go, "What did I do?" And he goes, "The butt nuggets joke you would do with a dog." I go, "Hey, I can take that out, man." And he said, he goes, no, he'll call me about 3 or 4 years. I said, "Screw that shit." And I went down and got my dad's camera and filmed it and sent it, and Dave Becky called me up and goes, "Get over here." And then Robert Hartman saw it, and then I was just driving back and forth.
So Dave Becky and Robert Hartman were fighting over you.
No, the Dave Becky goes, Dave Becky goes, "Hey, you know what? I'm thinking about him and David Spade were hanging out, and they were leaving." I go, "Oh my God, they're leaving." So I go, I told the opener, I go, "Tell them I would open up for David Spade," and they stopped. And David Spade was really nice, and he just goes, He goes, Dave Spade goes, everyone does Indian jokes, but your Indian jokes are different. I go, really? He goes, yeah, you're. And Dave was really nice, but Dave Becker goes, if you don't live in Los Angeles, then man, I don't know what I'm going to do with you, kid. I was like, oh my, all right. So I have to pay this credit card off. And then with Robert Hartman, and then all of a sudden I started hanging out with Mark Anderson. He's driving me to meetings, and
But he told you 3 years.
I know, yeah. But when I saw him again, I saw him. He goes, Pablo. He was eating an ear of corn at a fair, and he goes, listen, we're gonna have one man show now. So I fired all the comedians. I go, dude, I've been working so hard for a half hour. So he kept me aboard, and Rick Rockwell, and it was then Robert Hartman started managing,
and you literally, you never really opened, you never really featured, you became a headliner right away.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I was seeing this girl Rita up in Phoenix. I go, would you like a job up? Because we're seeing each other. I go,
now Rita from the Improv has worked there for like 35 years now.
Right.
And she's like one of the greatest people in the world.
Oh yeah, she is, man, and she's super smart, and she's really good at what she does. I go,
now, were you the aggressor, or was she the aggressor?
I go, listen, you want to be an actress, right? She's a great actress. She has her degree in acting. She's great. So I go, you come on up, and I'll get you a job. And I met Bud Freeman, and he was, and I met Mark Lano. What a character that guy was. He's cool. And I went in there, and they gave her a job immediately. And Bud Freeman goes, that's the best thing that ever happened to us. Pablo giving us Rita. But Pablo, you got to stop drinking. I was going, all right. So yeah, and then Bud, from that point on, it was just excitement every single time. Then getting commercials, and then getting on Mad TV, and getting development deals.
So things just happened. They just started happening.
It just started happening. There was a development deal I had another manager, David Goldman. He was great too. I mean,
I remember David Goldman.
David Goldman, just
so you stopped working with.
No, him and Robert team up, right, with Brian Medavoy at the time. And those three guys were. The meetings were great. We all did good meeting. And the money came in. The sitcoms didn't happen.
Now you said something that's kind of fascinating, and I just want to ask you about this. You talked about you said the drinking and whatever. So your mom and your dad, did they have the gene?
No one had the gene. My dad.
No one in your family had the gene.
No one was out drinking. I was the one that I drink occasionally, but when I got drunk, I would get hammered. And
now, were you able to perform after you drank, or did you wait in the beginning until after the show?
After the show, I would drink after the show because I couldn't drink on stage because it was just too. It would get me tired, And I would when I would drink, I would drink beer and get me full, and then. But sometimes in band, it was after that, I checked into rehab, and it was,
Well, how old were you when you went to rehab for the first time?
26 when I went there, yeah,
and was it? Do you?
I stayed there for 2 weeks. I couldn't, yeah.
Normally it's 30 days.
Right. I wrote a Coca-Cola commercial in there, so I sold it, and so I left the.
You sold the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and so I can get out, and I filmed it with the camera crew, and the lady goes, you know what? There's drinking and there's drugs. Coke is a drug, and I go, no, I wrote the commercial, and I sent it in, and they go, we want to buy it. So they bought it. So I went out. That's how I got out of rehab, so I can just film and do that kind of thing. So it was. I was just doing a lot of commercials, and it was fun. It was great.
Going to the sliding doors thing, back to it.
All right.
If you could change 3 things about how you handled things through the good and the bad and the great and the ugly, what decisions would you have made differently if you had a chance to go back?
Oh, okay. I would say I had some great opportunities. I got the money for it. I got the development deal money. I just wish that I took it more seriously. I didn't know how important it was back then. I was working clubs, making great money at the door, and just my manager owns more clubs. He kept on opening up. He goes, "It's up to you, Pablo," and introduced me to the guys at Gotham. Chris Mazzilli, who was just fantastic, and they were just using me there, and I was just having fun doing my thing. You were handling Dane Cook, and you guys are signing amazing deals. I mean, when he was doing it, he got everybody like excited about comedy. I think that's why.
I remember the first time Dane came into town, and I'll never forget this. He was in Boston, and He came into LA, and I got him a set at the Improv, first time at the Improv on Melrose.
Right.
And he says, Katzy, I'm going to try a new bit tonight. And he went on and did like a movie trailer.
Oh yeah, I
voice
remember
thing.
that. Yeah, yes.
And after he got off stage, I remember driving with him, and I said, listen, you're going to get some flack for that because, that's Pablo Francisco's lane. He's been doing that for a long time. And he's like, Pablo Francisco? I said, yeah, I'll see if I can find a video of it for you. And,
Oh, wow, yeah.
And that was the only time, he that's how tight the Improv was. And it was like you knew whatever. It's like when, certain
world.
comedians like George Lopez and Carlos Mencia and
Yep.
and they used to take each other to task on certain. I remember
Wow.
there was a bit that one night all three comedians did. Paul Rodriguez, George Lopez, and
Carlos
Mencia. It was the one where
pepper spray.
No, we're gonna build the president says we're gonna build a wall.
Oh gosh, yeah.
To keep all the Mexicans out, and then they paused and said, who's going to build the wall?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I
remember that when it came out. Yes, I remember that.
And so
George Lopez, you know what? He's taking my stuff. He's really serious about it. But I will tell you, George Lopez, man, we went on tour for 2 months, and I laughed so hard at his show. They kicked me out. I was opening up for him.
Well, you're probably one of the few people that he could. At least like one of the few people who could follow you.
Oh well, yeah. But he was so funny on stage that they kicked me out of the show. And he was, hey, what are you going to get? He called me crackhead. Hey, crackhead, what kicked you out? I go, dude, I was laughing so hard at your bit. They told me to leave. They go, shut up. It was bad. And every time he opened his mouth, I would laugh. I don't know why. He's just in conversation, always. Some girl bent over naked at one time. He goes, hey, it looks like a blown up cigar. And I was like going, it's so funny. And I go, gosh, damn, man. Every time he talks, and Paul Rodriguez comes into Tucson, and he was so good to me, man. My dad even believed I was hanging out with him. It was Paul Rodriguez was a big help, and there was that Latino bandwagon stuff, and it was just I'm still so much fun right now,
Hey everybody, it's Barry Katz, and I wanted to talk to you about Blueprint for Success. This is a community that I put together during the pandemic to help all artists of every walk of life in the entertainment business, no matter where you are in that part of this journey. It's designed to help you. There are podcasts with people that will inspire you, like Kevin Hart, Judd Apatow, Bill Burr, that you can't find anywhere else but on this program that I've interviewed, to times where we get to talk to executives in the business that you would never have access to tell you what you need to hear and to answer your questions, to all sorts of different videos and master classes designed to help you get to the promised land. That's what the Blueprint for Success is. Doesn't matter whether you want to be a stand-up comedian, a sketch performer, a podcaster, an actor, an actress, director, writer, social media person, whatever you want to be. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've had the honor and been humbled to represent people like Chappelle, Wanda Sykes, Louis C.K., Dane Cook, and probably over 20 other people who went from a studio apartment to being a multi-millionaire and a household name. And I want that for you, and I wanted to take the time with this program to be able to help you on your way there, to get there and to heighten and increase the trajectory of your career. Blueprint for Success is the way to go. I'm proud to be a part of this program, and I'd be proud to have you to be a part of it too. So back then, those people were really good to you. Did a lot of people try to keep you down, or was it just permission to speak freely?
Yeah.
I was always, when I came up in Boston,
Right.
I started running comedy clubs when I was like a teenager and in my 20s, and I'm around these older guys, and you go in the dressing room and they'd be drinking, they'd be ripping a comedian's head 8x10
Right.
off the wall and
Yeah.
doing coke. There'd be blood coming out of their noses. I'd be like,
What is
I like, and they'd be chasing women, and I'd go in, and somebody be, having sex with a
Right.
girl, and I guess I really was slow or didn't have an understanding of the way the world worked with women and drugs,
Yeah.
and I never really was a part of that. Maybe I just wanted to stay above it all or whatever.
Right.
But it was all there all the time, and I saw so many people who were incredibly talented, squander opportunities because they were drinking or they were doing drugs or they were chasing
Yeah.
pussy all the time.
Yeah.
And one thing I always loved about you is that you're just, and you still are, you're just infectious. You're a guy who's, huggable and lovable, and, in your darkest hours and your lightest hours, people just love you.
Yeah,
Everybody loves you.
That's a beautiful thing. I mean, yeah, I've been very blessed with that. The people that come to my shows are really cool. I mean, I can't believe that, after with the stuff they say to me after the show is just so nice. It's super. It's really cool.
So what do you watch comedy? You've watched comedy since you started.
Right.
You saw how you launched like a rocket ship.
Right.
And you've seen other people do slow builds that
Right.
like Brad Williams will say to me, it's unbelievable. I'm just recently famous, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and now I'm selling out these huge theaters.
Yep.
Or else you have the people like Tony Hinchcliffe, who decide to start their own podcast and their own vision of what they want to do. And, you'll go to the Comedy Store in the beginning and they're working hard and there's 40 or 50 people there. And then 7 years later, they're at Madison Square Garden.
Man, yeah.
So, you've seen everything happen in front
Right.
of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen the most talented people in the world.
Right.
You've seen people who aren't that talented
Right.
break through.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about you that stands out and always stood out was that very few people could follow you on stage. Now, George Lopez could follow you.
Yeah. I
And,
never.
but I'm telling you, very few people could do it. Louis Anderson was a kind of guy who could follow anybody because what he did was he made you hate the guy before him,
Really?
so you could get to his level, and wherever he would
Right.
bring it there. But
Right.
and obviously Dane Cook was very hard to I don't think he worried about anything.
Oh yeah, he didn't have to.
But like Caliendo didn't worry about following you,
Right.
whatever. But maybe he might have, but not talked about it. But
Oh wow. Yeah,
but the point I'm trying to make is that you've seen how it all works.
right.
You see what people are doing, and you know how you operate. You know how your career works. You know what you're not doing that other people are doing, and you know what you're doing that other people can't do.
Very interesting.
So
yeah.
the question I want to ask, which is really probably tough, is what are some of the things that you know that you can do, you could have done, you still can do, that it's, how
Yeah, I
Mike
do-
Tyson will be the first one to tell you that what defines a man is how excited he is about doing the things he doesn't want to do.
Right.
So, what are the things that you feel like you have hurt yourself or you haven't done that other people you see are doing that that you'd be wildly successful at, but
Right.
you're just like, fuck it, I don't want to do that, or I don't want to work on that, or I don't want to do that. Obviously,
Yeah.
you talked about the alcohol and the drugs, and that can derail
Yeah.
anybody, and that can, even if you're sober for a long period of time, you still kind of look in the mirror and you see your former self, yourself the way you were at your lowest point and you see the place that you were at your highest point.
Right.
And it's very challenging because it's like a ghost that follows you.
Yeah.
And so we already know how difficult that is to handle, and it's no matter who you talk to, it's the most brutal thing to handle and work through and fight through, because sometimes your fans, they get like, it's like family members. They're like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. I'm done with Pablo. I'm fucking done. I'm not going through this drama anymore. I'm done.
Right. Yeah.
And then there's the diehard family members that are like, will never stop loving you, just like
Right.
those fans that you sell out in the rooms. And so that ghost, we already know, will always be
Yeah.
there, and always fighting that and always working towards getting past that. But what are some things besides that have nothing to do with that you feel are things that you want to do or haven't done? Like, in other words, if I said to you, I've hit you on the head, you have amnesia, today is day one of your new career, what are you going to start doing differently?
Going to more auditions for movies and because I put that off for a while. I was having so much fun, Barry. I mean, I was making my money with my commercials, and my manager goes, they're thinking I'm the worst manager because you're not a star yet. And I was going to go, yeah, but that's not my goal right now. Right now, I think there should be another sketch comedy, a good sketch. Another Saturday Night Live, man. So I love to do another Mad TV, but just with comics and maybe a few actors and a good cast that would just rock, because I think people want to see that kind of thing, like another Living Color.
Well, let me put my manager hat on. Do you mind? I hope Robert Hartman doesn't come down here and kill me.
Okay.
Let me put my manager hat on.
Right.
The technology is amazing
Yes.
today. You can do anything.
Right.
So Pablo Francisco can put a breakdown out, can audition sketch actors and actresses. He can create his own sketch show that he's the lead of.
Wow.
And he can record sketches one day a month, just a bunch of them. He can put them on his YouTube channel as a series, the Pablo Show or whatever it is.
That is, yes.
And he can create his own thing and shoot it, and it costs $6 in a bucket of chicken.
Right, you're right. And I'm working on that right as we speak now. Right now, I'm setting it up at my house, and I want to make it, it's going to be funny. It's going to be like the Keel and Peele, but divided by the square root of Pablito, And I admire those guys for what they've done. So, and I'm working with Jonathan Kite, guy does great impersonations, and I've been booking corporates, and they're good. I mean, we do really good on stage. So we're gonna see how that works out and see how that happens, and I get my teeth done, and then after that, and then I'll be ready to rock, to have my fun. But yeah, that's what's going on now, right? I'm just working on filming little things and having fun, and I pick my own group of cats. That'd be great, and so I just got to get down to the Melrose more, and work out some stuff there.
Yeah. So again, let's just go with this for a second.
Okay.
Because I think this is good for people watching.
Right.
So today is day one.
Okay.
It's day one. It's like, I don't care if you won an Academy Award last night or you sucked a dick behind a dumpster.
Right.
It's like, that's in the past.
Right.
It's day one.
Right.
You have the skill set you have, the talent you have, everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing you want, that you're really excited about, is to show people that you can act and create holy shit moments in a television series through sketches and characters and voices.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you have the ability to create that and put that together and shoot that. And if you had one of those erase board calendars that has the whole year, you could literally circle a date, April 1st. That's the day I'm launching it on a YouTube channel, and that's the day I'm doing it. And so like a wedding,
Right.
it's like you can't cancel the wedding. You know,
Right.
your parents might be arguing over whether you're gonna have shrimp or chicken skewers, but
Wow.
that's the day we're starting.
Right.
And then it might be, okay, on this day I'm starting to go down to the Improv and I'm gonna put a schedule together where I'm gonna go there every single Tuesday and do a set. And then if they give me a weekend set, I'm going to do it. And then let's keep going with this. And then you know, I want to start my own podcast. Maybe I want to do a podcast for only people who do voices and do impressions and things like that. And let's just talk about that, or people who started doing impressions in the beginning, like Jay Moore or somebody like that.
Right.
And then you just sit down and you have a discussion with people like that. And then you just literally plan out your career, pretending that your career just started, pretending that you have nothing, pretending that you have no money, pretending that nothing. Okay, I want to fix my teeth. Okay, let me see. Okay, I'm going to get some estimates. Okay, on June 1st, I'm going to fix my teeth. I'm not backing down for that.
Right.
Listen, God, I'm thinking to myself, I really want to get healthy. I want to get in shape. Let's see, what date can I start that program or whatever. And so it's like it's day one, as opposed to looking back at how great things were or how bad things were, or God, that corporate was great with Jonathan Kite. F it.
Right.
No, it's like this is the new era of you, because one thing about you that I love is that you can't fuck with talent. You're like you can't stop a fucking locomotive. The locomotive can stop itself,
Right. Yes.
but you can't stop the locomotive. There's no one can dispute the level of power that you have.
Wow.
So if you have that level of power, then look at all the different things that are good. You know, have you ever written a book?
You know what? I'm already working on that.
So
one
again,
right now,
on that calendar, okay, it's like, all right, okay, I need to finish the book by the first draft by this date. Then I'm going to have it rewritten by this date, and I'm going to do this by this date. And look, you know, I don't think I'm capable of finishing it myself. I'm going to get a ghostwriter. I'll give them a percentage of the book, and I'll have them finish the edits here. And then at the end in Christmas, I'll launch the book.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You're so interesting. Yeah.
It's like there's all different things that you have. For, let's just say, listen, I've been lackadaisical on the merchandise. I do these shows, and my merch isn't really the way I want it to be. I'd love to get some new designs together and put them together and see if I can get a group that'll do the printing and do whatever it is. Maybe I want to do a Funko thing of myself. Okay, let's see. We'll talk to merch people, and we'll get it done by this date. Then we'll get the dress by this date, and by my date here in San Jose, I'm going to have all my merch ready, and I'm going to have the merch store the best way. I'm going to get rid of the old, the new stuff in.
Right.
Like, there's all different things. So, but for you to whatever, but it just takes that thing where it's just like that first day. Right. And I say this to you because...
this is great you're saying this, because I have a calendar, just like you're explaining right now, in my kitchen, huge race. And
I say this to you because I can safely say this and speak to anyone who's in the comedy business. There isn't anyone who doesn't know that you're a fucking monster.
Well, I don't know how to take that. I don't know what to say. I'm very flattered. I didn't. Boy, I was just like, I was going. Were you in my house just looking at my calendar?
Well, because I think that what happens is look, I'm a manager just like Robert, and I've managed people for 25 years, and I've managed people for 1 year. And, long-term relationships are like, marriages. And sometimes it's hard to, it's just hard to sit together. You're never going to leave each other, but it's just hard to sit together and say, hey, we're going to, and sometimes it's like, sometimes you just have to step out and just, like I said, like kill Tony, Tony Hinchcliffe. He just stepped out. I can't speak for his manager or his agent or whatever, but my guess is that he created Kill Tony.
Right.
And he went out and started doing it. Phil Rosenthal, who created Everybody Loves Raymond. I know for a fact he had the idea for the chef thing going all over the country and all over the world. His agents want him to take another show. He made $50 million in his last deal with Everybody Loves Raymond. They wanted another deal for him like that.
Wow.
Big money. But he wanted to do his show on PBS and build it.
Right.
And they looked at him like he was crazy. Now he's selling out 2,700-seat theaters, just sitting in a chair answering questions and doing VIP meet and greets. And has a show.
Unbelievable.
And so, like, everything is possible, but it's just starting.
Right.
And I know people are going to watch this podcast and say, Barry, could you shut the
No,
up?
actually, this is great. I mean, it's like, that's my plan. But I didn't know anyone, you kind of set it out perfect. I was going, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm going slow at it. But absolutely right. You are correct. Yeah, it is good, man. And that was rocking. I feel good now. No,
that's what I want.
You're rocking it.
So I have some things to talk to you about.
It's a great show, man. Shit.
Kind of weird and kind of interesting, and the audience might not know. But obviously, you have talked about something that a lot of artists deal with, which they suffer, and you've suffered, inside, but yet you put on that face and you go out there and you kill it. One of the things that happened in your area that was devastating was there was a guy who ran the Improv who I love named Dan Murr, one of the greatest guys in the world.
Yeah, good old Dan, yeah.
And he was suffering.
Yeah.
Not exactly like you, but similarly, he was suffering, and
right.
you knew he was suffering. A lot of us knew he was, had the darkness, and
yep.
And you're watching something like a car accident where you can't help somebody, and so I wanted to ask you, like, you're going through.
Right.
And you're watching another guy go through it.
Right.
And then you watch another guy lose his life from it.
Right.
How does that affect you?
Well, when that happened to Dan, I called him every day, and I said, now you got to go in the bathroom and pray, because he was living in Chicago in a really cold area, and I looked where he lived. He was living in a cul-de-sac with a lot of, he didn't have a car, so, Niels Lofgren, guitarist for Springsteen, we were talking to him a lot. But when I called him up, I said, you want to get your job back at the Improv? And he goes, I would do anything to get my job back. And Robert Hartman goes, okay, you know what? Robert goes, he stabbed me. He goes, I've been stabbed in the back more than in the back by Dan so many times. But Robert goes, I'm down for second chances. And I went, all right. So he would slowly, I don't know if he was drinking, but we were talking every other day. And and we got really close. But I went to Chicago, where he lived. I went, man, you're living in the cold. How do you get to the supermarket? So I go, if you go, I said, listen, Dan, Dan, we just started getting off the topic of just trying to be healthy and good, and he was he was going to get the opportunity to get his job back, and then he said, no, forget it. So I just go, I was this close of just almost, getting him on my side, because, me and him were friends a lot, and we had good times, but, oh my God, that's how we talked all the time. So with that, I didn't know he was drinking that much. I just noticed that he was some people felt depressed, but I know that he's in a good spot right now, and we'll see him again. But yeah, I was kind of, I called him up drunk. Well, not drunk, buzzed. Hey man, that was my best motivation, and and trying to get his job back. And my manager goes, I'm down with it. I just don't want him around me, because they have that little tension. And Robert was a team player all the time with that, and it was kind of strange watching, that happen. But
last question on this subject, then we'll get to a lighter place.
All right,
and get you out of here.
Yeah.
How many times would you say that you feel like you've cheated death?
I've cheated death. How many times? Okay, I would say twice. Yeah, I would say twice. It was, it was unexpected. I took what was that? I took the drink at at a Gatorade bottle, and it was GHB or something. And I go, man, this tastes. What is this? And I was out. And I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. So 3 days went by, and I go, what happened to that 3 days ago, man? Paramedics came, got you naked, and there was 12. I was going. They did a spinal tap on me. They didn't know what was wrong with me because they couldn't trace this GHB. So they did. I was couldn't even move my eyebrows. I thought I was paralyzed due to this. And my girlfriend at the time, Gabriella, goes, Pablo, can you hear me? And I thought it was paralyzed for life. And then she was, spinal tap, it's going to be off in 5 hours. And that's when my heart was going out. And I was going, wait. And she whispered in my ear, Pablo, if you can hear me, make sure that they're going to take the heart machine off, so they need it for someone else. But they're going to just make sure that you're beating, you're breathing. And that's when I couldn't breathe. And then everything went like this. And I said, God, please, I don't want to die. He goes, I said, God, I go, please, God, I won't do this again. He goes, you won't do it again because you're going to be dead. And just before I found out, they did this to me, and I was like, that's it. That was a life experience. And that was crazy. And I was like 20, almost 16, 17 years ago or something like that. But it seems like I think about it all the time. But yeah, scary, really scary. And I never told my managers that either. I went from the hospital to Australia the next day. And I had the hospital patches still in my body, with the little magnet things they used. My manager didn't see. I go, hey. And that was it. Yeah, I cheated. Yeah, that's when I cheated. That's right there was, that was crazy. Nuts, kid.
1,
2,
3, 4,
5, 6.
6 degrees of separation.
6 degrees of separation. I'm going to mention some names. Tell me what comes to mind.
Okay, all right.
Howard Stern.
Let me tell you something. Good guy. He's a guy who will make a great friend. Let me tell you something. You're looking hot. Artie Lang got me on that show, and I had the best time with him and Baba Booey and Robin. Really smart, super smart, and it's still funny. Funny. I love him.
Gabriel Iglesias.
Gabriel Iglesias, so proud of him, man. He went from a little guy to he's the nicest guy. Speaks great Spanish, and takes a lot and helps a lot of people out, man. Very good. Love that guy.
Theo Vaughn,
man. Talking to Patrick, he called him the Patrick Swayze. No, I like Theo Vaughn because he's his comic his way of thinking it sounds like he's acting dumb, but he plays dumb on some of his answers to his podcast when I've been listening, and I've been listening every morning, and he's so him and Joe Rogan when they talk, man, they're very funny guy, very funny. Just when he riffs, he's good on stage, but I like the way he looks at his way of looking at things is very funny.
Jay Leno.
It's no way. Yeah, Jay Leno, very nice guy. Sit in the green room with him before the show. That's when he really is really good at he's a comedy. Don't wait, sometimes we're black, sometimes we're white. There are Jewish people in the front row. You're Jewish. And there's the black people, you're black, okay? Come on. You're going to take the opportunity. David Letterman, yeah, that little thing happened with David Letterman. Take the opportunity.
Jerry Seinfeld,
man. Talk about he's so funny now, like crazy. Like just guy, he is funny, and he likes other comedians. He likes other styles of comedy. He doesn't cuss in his shows, but he's good. And Larry David with him, man, just a great team, man. He's a sweet guy, man. He's a really nice guy.
Dave Chappelle,
gosh, man, I don't know how he does it, man, but the way he can tell a story and talk about and commit to that, is really funny and truthful, and everything he says is not bullshit. It's not made up. It's actually it's experiences that I can watch over and over. I can watch him over and over and over. Yes. very funny.
Don LaFontaine.
Don LaFontaine, you know what, kid? He goes, I always wanted somebody to do me, and you do me better than I do me.
And we're at his house, and we're at the studio. He took me to his house. Frank Caliano got us together, and he goes,
Frank Caliendo
Frank
got
Caliendo,
you and Don.
Yeah, we did this 3 Tinadors. If you go to YouTube, go 3 Tinadors, it's me, and we're all like Tinadors doing movie previews. And he goes,
Wait, we got 5 hours to kill. Let's go to my house.
and we went down there, and he just goes, and took me down in the studio, and he goes,
I do 2 of these a day, and I live like a king.
and I go, really? And and he put on Harry Connick Jr., and I started making fun of Harry Connick Jr. I go, yeah, you like Harry Connick Jr.? And I go, I want to get down your grandma's pants. Come on. And he's like,
Oh yeah, English.
and we're having a good old time in this studio, and he just goes, he goes, when we were leaving, he got on his knees and he was showing me,
This is my first movie. This is my first Western.
and we sat there for a long time, and in the studio, and it was cool. It was really cool. And I heard at the time my friend passed away that day in another city, and I was on the phone, and he was like,
And when that happens, you know,
I go, I'm really pissed off because I left my material book on the plane. He goes,
oh man, you can't do that.
So he was really, really cool, man. I miss that guy, but he was, good guy.
Your proudest moment in show business.
Okay. Proudest moment. Okay, I walked into the Melrose Improv, and those 8 people in the crowd. My girlfriend goes, "Go ahead, it's a Tuesday night." And I go up there and do a show, and I was just going off crazy. And when I get off, Bud Freeman pops out, Mark Lano pops out, 3 other agents pop out, and they take me upstairs, and they sit me down and just go, "Who are you?" And we like you. I was going, "Well, 8 people in a crowd." Rita just goes, "Go ahead, there's no one." But they popped out of nowhere. And I was like, I'm just going to mess around and have a good time. So that was one of my proudest moments when they all offered me a show, a sitcom, and my manager goes, we'll handle that and stuff. And I'm signing with Fred Silverman. That was fun.
Fred Silverman, legendary
Yeah.
television producer and network executive.
Oh, yeah. He goes, I never signed anyone in 20 years. I'm going to sign you, all right? And the way he went after my agent, it was so funny. He goes, I like you, Robert, but this guy, get rid of him. Get him out.
He used to wear the white loafers.
Oh, yeah. But he's all chewing his gum. He was great. He was cool. So signing that deal right off the bat, he just goes, well, I'm going to give you a small development deal. And then other deals came from it. And yeah, he was actually you see him on the bag. He was good. That was fun.
Your biggest disappointment in show business and how you used it to fuel yourself to the next level.
Okay. Went to a meeting with some big guys, and they called me up on a Sunday, and I was, drinking, and they go, "Come on down there right now." I go, "Right now?" So I went there, and I went there a little drunk, and they were disappointed. So what I did is I found out where one of them was staying at, what hotel in Vegas, and I went there and I did a guest spot at the Improv there, and I got a standing ovation. He was in the crowd, and then when I got off walking, he goes, "Pablo," and he ran up to me. He goes, let's do this deal again." So I was like, so I lost it, and then I got it back, but it was just, I just go, "Who's at the hotel? I want to drive down there and get a guest spot and make sure." He was just happened to be there and just happened to see me at the Venetian. He comes up to me, "Hey, you know what? Hey, he goes, maybe it was a little confusion from last time drinking." I go, "Yeah." So I stopped that and got that back. So that was a good moment in my life.
Last question: what advice do you have for the young comedian who's
Yeah.
living in a part of a state and where there's nothing really happening and has no money, getting fired from
Yes.
pizza delivery jobs and
Right.
figuring out a way to have the kind of career that you've had?
You know what, man? Just watch comedian. Look, you got YouTube now. It's beautiful. You can watch anything you want, and YouTube's great. Don't watch comedians. If a comic doesn't make you laugh, man, then don't watch him, or whatever. You can watch him or to see what he's like. And and always write your own material. You can, and if you're just similar to someone, just walk up to them. And Joe Rogan, I walked up to him. I go, I do Arnold Schwarzenegger. You do Arnold Schwarzenegger with a cucumber in its ass, and I do Arnold Schwarzenegger, in Brokeback Mountain. He goes, "Hey man, it's my," just asking him permission. I go, "I do the same thing." And he goes, "It's my get out of jail card. You can have it." I went, "Okay, cool." So ask permission if you see other comics doing stuff, they may be doing some things that are parallel to yours, but just don't come after them like beat them up and stuff. But just Go, hey, this is how you approach them. Hey, it's kind of funny I do that kind of joke, and film yourself, man. And just film yourself, and not to 45 minutes. Just like maybe when you do 15-minute sets, and watch yourself. Watch, and once you watch yourself, you can, you'll go get my friend. Go do the pepper grinder and do this, and learn an impersonation or so. Learn your mechanics. So see what you look like. What do I look like? But yeah, and then write me your own material and write down everything. Just write it down, man. Just have a pen, man. Don't try to memorize it and you'll forget it. Like that big calendar, that big calendar you're talking about. I've been writing stuff on that thing like crazy. I have to go back and do my stuff. But yeah, have fun. Watch other comics and don't talk about comics around other comics, and don't sleep with the wait staff, man. Because you know what, it backfires. So that's what I have to say.
Pablo Francisco, this has been amazing.
Oh, man, you've been
You're an
great, man.
extraordinary man. I've always loved you.
Very
I've always
great,
been one of your biggest fans, and I'm so grateful you came here.
Barry, thank you very much, man. It was very nice. Right on, brother. Right on, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Right on.
Love you.